Welcome to Bears in Exile. Today is Monday, July 16th, and this is the market overview. Looking at the Dow, SPX, VIX, TNA, UUP, FXC, GLD, SLV, and all the rest. Look at that. What's up with that? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Starting off with the Dow, a video was posted really late over the weekend, and sorry about that. All kinds of things going on, and anyways, last night's video, or the weekend video, only market days count in my world for the most part, so last night to me is Friday night. Gone above the, ran right through the long-term moving average bar and did all kinds of technical damage to the situation for the Bears. Today, the Bears managed a fairly weak counterattack. Not even getting to the middle part of the big green bar. Bad sign. Getting to the long-term moving average bar, backing away. Bad sign for the Bears. And we have the 14-day RSI moving average going sideways. Sideways on the CCI, up on the stochastics. Slight tick up on the RSI. Sideways on the MACD. And slightly up on the MACD histogram. Some follow through would have been great for the bulls, but they just couldn't manage it. But that's all right. Big candle. I mean, what can you expect, right? And indicator-wise, it's fairly underwhelming, just like the action today. And based on the position and the lack of getting to the middle, I would say it would favor the bulls, at least for the moment. But I don't know how long-lived this is going to be. I'm not overly convinced that, at least yet, that we're going to have a huge up from this point. Could be wrong. We don't exactly have enough data, but that's what it looks like to me. So, 60-minute time frame. Of course, it was overheated to some extent by the close of Friday, and it has worked a good deal of it off. It doesn't appear to be done. 60-minute time frame does not look too bull happy at the moment. We have the CCI heading down. We have the stochastics mixed, slow heading down, fast going up with the 14-day RSI moving average. Really choppy on the RSI, sloping down on the MACD histogram, and MACD itself going sideways. I would say that this is more bearish than bullish. Absolutely, at least in the very short term. And we have all kinds of little weird things going on here. You could make a case that there's a head and shoulder forming. You could make a case that there's a inverse head and shoulder forming, kind of, actually that doesn't really work now, does it? Anyways, I'm sure something is going to form here, and it'll probably make a lot more sense once we have a little more to look at. And we have all kinds of stuff to look at that you could make up things with, but I'm just going to wait a little bit longer and see what develops, since it's at such a critical juncture, and maybe a case can be made as it decides to move further up or further down. So, daily leaning bullish, 60-minute leaning bearish, and sure seems to be the norm here recently. We haven't had a nice lineup of red outlook for daily, red outlook for the 60-minute. We haven't had a good green outlook and a good green 60-minute, so it's kind of difficult. 60-minute time frame, SPX. This did better than the Dow today, ending a pretty little hammer. Even less penetration than the Dow relative to the candle. We do have a little bit of a blip in the heat map still. CCI slight tick up. 14-day RSI moving average slight tick up, different than the Dow. Stochastics both pointing up on the RSI, up on the histogram, and sideways on the MACD histogram. So this one does look better for the bulls than the Dow did. And SPX on the 60-minute, it's not as banged up in the 60-minute time frame either. The stochastics are more going sideways than anything else. You do have the CCI still heading down, the 14-day RSI moving average still heading up. You have a slight uptick in the RSI. The descent on the MACD histogram isn't as much, and the MACD itself going sideways. This is more of a push-pull in the 60-minute time frame than the Dow. So that's something different. Going on to the VIX. You know, this one was not so bad today. Got out of the 16s, ended in the low 17s. Also ending with a hammer, possible reversal candle. We have a darker area in the heat map. Up on the CCI, still down on the stochastics, down on the 14-day RSI moving average, down on the RSI, up, slightly, sideways on the MACD histogram and sideways on the MACD. This one is very much a push-pull, and we noted in the daily running thread about its ever so slow climb up throughout the day, which was good for the bears. But yeah, we don't have a really good signal at the moment. I would expect that at the very least that it will have a retest of this ascending channel, and at that time, let's just imagine that it was tomorrow. That would coincide with the lower price consensus level, and should be a level of resistance. Breaking about of that would be extremely positive for the bears. But yeah, it's early. It is early, and Benny Boy starts speaking to Congress tomorrow, and I believe that goes through Wednesday. So certainly he can juice the markets. We are pretty darn close to that new recent low. Hasn't been properly kissed, and although it's made a couple of attempts, but hasn't been properly kissed. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that either. So, like I said, very much a push-pull. And a 60-minute time frame, just try to give us a better understanding. You know, in the overnights, it looked very positive for the bears. And instantly after the market opened, they didn't want too much damage to be done. And they ran in and saved it. 60-minute time frame, CCI is up, stochastics are mixed, 14-day RSI moving average heading down, RSI heading down, histogram slanting up, and the MACD looking for a bullish cross. I would say that this is more bullish than bearish, definitely. And that broke my train of thought. So I guess that's it for the VIX. More bullish than bearish at the moment. And I'll be looking for an uptick, although it won't be very telling when that does happen. Matter of fact, yeah, the Dow and SPX aren't going to matter. It's too jumbled. Moving on, TNA. Yeah, we were talking on Thursday that this was a positive sign, getting back above or staying above the long-term moving average bar. Inside day today, kind of interesting, ending with a spinning top, and have a little bit of area in the heat map. Down on the CCI, up on the 14-day RSI moving average, mixed on the stochastics, up on the RSI, down on the histogram, down on the MACD. This one, I think, is more bearish than bullish, unlike the Dow, unlike SPX. So going back for a retest of the bar would be completely fine. But it may take a day or two to get the 14-day on board, to get the stochastics totally on board, and to turn the RSI. But overall, I do think that this is more bearish than bullish. Having a lower high at this point would be very positive for the bears. You could say that this is, in terms of pivots, you have a pivot, pivot question mark, but I don't really like, one-day pivots. I think it takes a couple more days in my book to look proper. So anyways, that's what I think about that. 60-minute time frame. Since this one looks different in the daily, how does it look in the 60-minute? Well, stochastics are mixed. 14 days still pointing up. Down on the CCI, down, actually sideways on the RSI. Down on the histogram, slanting down, and down on the MACD. This one is very much a push-pull. Looks like we're going for a double flatline 60-minute time frame. You can see the constriction of the Bollinger Bands. So we know that there's a big move coming soon. Very much a push-pull. Look at all this congestion. So, interesting. But we can see the tails having problems here. So, but at least it's probing. Decent for the bears. But anyways, nothing in the heat map. I'm not holding my breath one way or the other. I think a little bit of a pop-up would be fine. But overall, I do think that it's more negative in the more intermediate term. XOY, oil. Oops. Daily time frame. This actually looks pretty darn good. Going into long-term moving average bar, bouncing away, that is positive. Closing above the upper price consensus level, also positive. Very little in the heat map suggesting a problem. Up on the CCI, up on the RSI, 14-day RSI moving average, up on the stochastics, up on the RSI, up on the MACD, and up on the MACD histogram. Much better than the Dow, SPX, or any of the other ones. And this one, it'll be really important at this previous high. And of course, when oil is bullish, market is bullish. This actually lines up pretty well with the more positive feeling in the Dow and SPX, at least for the short term. Going on, UUP. Yeah. This one was doing great in the overnight session. And just fell apart right as the market opened shortly thereafter. We did have a downtick. Talked about it in the video from the weekend. If you got to see it, that's great. It almost resolved it today. Almost. And just by a couple of cents missing it. And going down here for a retest of this trend line to be totally fine. That would coincide with a bar retest. It would coincide essentially with the major price consensus level. I would expect it to find support at that point. Down on the CCI, down on the stochastics, 14-day RSI moving average heading on up. Down on the RSI, down on the histogram, down on the MACD. Looks like everything wants to go and join up with the 14-day before a move to the upside, which coincides with this target really well. At the very least, a bubble corrective move. But I think that this target is pretty darn important at this point. And it should also be noted that the actually it would be better with FXE. This sucker was getting mauled overnight, retracing a really good portion of the move up on Friday. And but by the open of the U.S., they had come in, done a save on it, ending with a weird-looking spinning top. Getting an uptick. Uptick gives us a target of 122.80. Pretty good move up from where it is now. And the warning area in the heat map that we've talked about working itself off. CCI up, 14-day RSI moving average down, stochastics up, RSI up, histogram up, MACD up. This one, just like UUP, looks like it needs a reset. Do I think that it's going to get all the way to this trend line? Probably not. But a bubble corrective move would be appropriate. And Apple. You know, on the overnight video, I wasn't too impressed by Apple's movement on Friday. it definitely did not match up well with the Dow or the SPX's move, ending with a spinning top. And now we have this Gravestone Doji, Inverse Hammer, Shooting Star, whatever you want to call it, which also is not very impressive, retreating from its high. Now in this one, could you say that you have pivot high, pivot low, pivot high, pivot low, pivot high? I think you could stretch it and say that. And indicator-wise, it is pretty much a push-pull. We have the heat map warming up on the CCI, mixed on the stochastics, up on the 14-day RSI moving average, up on the RSI, down on the histogram, and sideways on the MACD. Very much a push-pull. Comp Q, the NASDAQ. Yeah, this wasn't impressive either. Inside day, spinning top, inside the long-term moving average bar. Not a good thing, closing near the bottom of it. Nothing in the heat map really to speak about. Down on the CCI, sideways on the 14-day RSI moving average, mixed on the stochastics, up on the RSI, down on the MACD, down on the MACD histogram. This one definitely is more bearish than bullish, and it did pierce the upper price consensus level. Very interesting. And GE trying to get a better read on the Dow. Overnight video, over the weekend video, closed above the upper price or the major price consensus level, almost kissed the major price consensus level. I'm sorry, closed above the bar, almost kissed the major price consensus level. More positive than negative. We had an uptick on the MACD histogram, but today, getting below the long-term moving average bar, closing inside of it. Nothing in the heat map. Down on the CCI, down on the 14-day RSI moving average, mixed on the stochastics, up on the RSI, down on the histogram, down on the MACD. Definitely more bearish than bullish, and not a good sign overall of the health of the market, which is very interesting since many things look more positive than negative, and this one looks more negative than positive, and this one should lead. So very curious. And GLD, still not a fan. Still not a fan. Getting to the long-term moving average bar and unable to close inside of it or really do any damage to it. Ending with a spinning top. Nothing really in the heat map to speak about. Sideways on the CCI, down on the 14-day RSI moving average, up on the stochastics, down on the RSI, up on the histogram, up on the MACD, looking for a bullish cross. Not something that I would really want to touch. Not until it clears the long-term moving average bar at the very least. And SLV, look at that. Pierced but could not close above the lower price consensus level. Down on the CCI, down on the 14-day RSI moving average, up on the stochastics, down on the RSI, up on the histogram, up on the MACD. Also, not an impressive chart. At the very least, it needs to get above the lower price consensus level, at which time we could assume that it'll go up for a retest of the bar. Is it going to have enough strength to beat it up? It doesn't seem very likely at the moment. XLF, the financials. We know we've got to have the financials on board for a flush or for a rally. And they didn't do too bad today, ending with a hammer and beating Friday's high by a very small amount. Got a little bit of a blip in the heat map, nothing special at the moment yet. Up on the CCI, up on the 14-day RSI moving average, up on the stochastics, up on the RSI, up on the histogram, up on the MACD. This is definitely more bullish than bearish. This is a really pretty decent looking chart until the news about the LIBOR hits and becomes the fixation of the news media, but that is not happening yet. So definitely more bullish than bearish. And JP Morgan, most important bank, How does it look? It doesn't look good. This one also leads the Dow. Closing below the long-term moving average bar. The weekend video talked about it not being able to clear the bar or the 200-day moving average, which was not a good sign. Also piercing the major price consensus level, but it didn't close below it. Down on the CCI, down on the 14-day RSI moving average. Stochastics look like they're trying to roll. Down on the RSI, it's very sideways on the MACD histogram, sideways on the MACD. Actually, that's a slight tick up on the MACD. This one is very much a push-pull. And part of me wants to say it's more bearish than neutral. But we really need to see more. If it can be ejected definitively from the long-term moving average bar, that's going to be really telling. But Ben is talking tomorrow. So the ability for him to talk it up and pump it up definitely could be a factor in making it jump. So I don't want to just say this one needs to go down right now. And Walmart, my little creature of doom. Down 20 cents from Friday. Very nice. Very different looking candle than normal. Look at that excessive separation. It is insane. That is insane. Look at that. Ugh. It's just begging for a bubble corrective move. Sideways on the CCI. Stochastics holding high, 14-day RSI moving average going up. Down on the RSI, sideways on the MACD, and down on the MACD histogram. Ooh. So much possibilities. But no clear sign yet. And poor retail data today just could not make it turn red. Unfortunately, I think that that'll really be the its opportunity. And why not? I think when this one goes, the market is really going to start to flip out. And it tried. It tried to break down today. At one point, recovering or taking back much of Friday's move. But bounced back up and went sideways, which is very different than, I mean, look how clean that is. It's very different from the past month, 2 months. So very interesting. CCI up, stochastics down, 14-day RSI moving average up, sideways on the RSI, down on the histogram, down on the MACD. This one just needs a little push, and we shall see. I think that once it clears this low, and it can clear this low, it is it's going to be really nasty. But we shall see. And is there anything else? Nope. I think that's going to do it for tonight. As always, all investing decisions are your own. This chart and video for entertainment, educational, and consumption of time purposes only. Thank you very much.